Hi, Annabel.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fabulous and so grateful and excited to be here.
Oh, nice. Well, it looks like you made an effort. Like, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm not gonna lie. My mom definitely helped me put this outfit together.
So, are you at home with your parents right now?
I am. I'm also and my sister. It's the whole family's together and our dog Walter,
Okay, we can't
the
forget
real
Monster.
MVP of all of us.
And where is home for you?
Home is here in Montreal, Canada.
How's your weekend been? It's a Monday, so you had a good weekend.
I had a phenomenal weekend. We're gearing up. Loose Ends releases on Friday, so it's been such a blast. And I have a little sort of live studio performance on Wednesday, so everything's been in preparation for that. And it's raining right now. Contrary to most people, I love it when it rains, so this is super exciting.
Why did you love it when it rains?
I wish I had an answer. I just feel like the world just sort of takes a pause and a breath. And it just feels very rejuvenating in a weird way. I don't, or I'm
Okay.
just really weird, and that's the the answer.
So you mentioned already that Loose Ends is coming out this week. It's coming out on Friday, and it's your debut album. Like in these days running up to the release, how do you feel? Are you excited to get it out? Are you nervous? How does it feel? Because basically, this is you going, "This is my innermost thoughts. What do you think?"
Oh my goodness. I mean, I am I am so excited. I'm definitely a little nervous. I've held on to these songs for the longest of time just because I feel like I'm a little bit of a not guarded, but a little bit of a walled person. And so the notion of bearing, little piece of my heart with anyone willing to listen just felt a little daunting and a little scary. But art is certainly meant to be shared, and it's meant to connect us and to heal us. And this record certainly did that for me. And so I hope that it does that with any and all listeners.
Well, a bit of connection and healing is what everybody needs right now.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
hopefully it's good timing. So are you the kind of person that puts into songs the kind of things that you can't say to somebody face to face? Is that how you express yourself, do you think?
I think so. I don't think like like I said before, I don't think I'm a guarded person, but I feel like sometimes expressing myself just verbally, like you said, face to face is sometimes a bit challenging for me. And so I'm able to say things lyrically and melodically that I wouldn't otherwise say. And I feel like again with loose ends on this record, I definitely show different facets of myself that I don't necessarily show every single day.
Right. So let's go back a bit. I know you're living with your parents right now.
Yes.
Did they influence your music taste? What was the first music that you remember listening to when you were a kid?
Oh my goodness. I mean, there's definitely their influence in there. I would say my preference leans more towards my mom's personal musical tastes.
Okay.
But definitely when I was a kid, I mean, I loved musical theater. That was sort of my foray into the arts. My mom and sister, when I was around 5 years old, took part in a local theater production of Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I just remember it was almost visceral. I was just drawn to the stage. I was like, that's where I need to be. And from then on, I was in a lot of musical theater shows and productions. And I would say that was really my first love, was just being on stage performing. And again, oh my gosh, the scores and the music for musical theater. I mean, that always resonates with me. And then later on, obviously, I was exposed to other artists. I mean, growing up, I loved Alicia Keys, Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac, Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Nice.
And later, Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars, Justin Timberlake, Adele. I mean, I so many different musical influences and artists that I just absolutely love.
So when you think about your childhood, is there one artist or one record in particular that reminds you of that time?
I would say Alicia Keys, If I Ain't Got You. That was like the first song that sort of did it all for me. It was like my audition song when I would audition for musical theater. And it was just, I mean, Alicia Keys just conveys so much emotion with her tone alone. And then, you add in, her extraordinary melodies, her lyrics, and it's just magic. And so for me, that really did it. And then of course, I think Landslide by Stevie Nicks.
Right.
It's such a classic, but that one also, I remember I heard that song and I was like, that just immediately, it really resonated really deeply with me. And another song, these I guess are like the top three that remind me of my childhood. Gladys Knight and the Pips, Midnight Train to Georgia. Oh, I mean, they're just such classics, these songs that are just like, I wish I could write a song, any song like one of those three, because to me, they're just superlative. Like it doesn't get better than those three songs.
So with songs like that, would you ever dare to try covering songs like that yourself? Or are they untouchable?
I think I would dare to try, because, you only live once, carpe diem, but I could never do them justice like the artists themselves. I mean,
I can imagine you doing Landslide in particular.
Thank you so much. Okay. I'm going to take that compliment and run with it. I thank you.
That's my challenge to you.
Okay, Steve, you know what? I'm on it just for you. And I'm going to say this one is for Steve Gerard.
So you mentioned about the musical theater. I'm guessing that was just singing at that point, right?
Singing and acting. It wasn't until later that I really started writing songs of my own. But I think part of what I loved about acting and what like gravitated me towards that was the storytelling. And I think later on, I think songwriting is really at the cross section of my passions, which is music and storytelling. So it's sort of the perfect marriage for me.
Yeah. So I know you tell a lot of stories in your songs. Are they always your stories, or do you sometimes tell other people's stories?
Loose ends, mostly my own, although with inspiration from elsewhere. I'd say in quarantine during the pandemic, instead, I did a lot more looking outwards than inwards. So I would say more extrospection, inspiration from the outside, as opposed to my own stories from the songs I've been writing as of late.
Okay.
But previously, I'd say mostly me.
And do you like to keep it open to interpretation, or do you want to always like deliver the message and make sure people know exactly how you're feeling?
That's such a great question. I would say it depends on the song, but a little bit of both. I love sometimes flowery, more metaphorical language that's up for interpretation, but sometimes I also love being super explicit, like this is the story. Let me spill the tea.
That's dangerous though sometimes.
Oh, yes. My tea's not that hot though, so it's not too dangerous.
I'm British, so I'm drinking tea right now.
Oh my gosh, what kind of tea?
I actually have it imported from the UK because I'm that picky about it. Marks and Spencer's Gold Blend tea.
I love that. I really, you know what? I don't drink enough tea. The non-metaphor.
I drink too much.
No, I feel like tea's really healthy. I feel like that's an amazing thing to do. I also need to drink more water. This is something I know. I don't drink any water.
Well, this is my way of getting, there's a lot of water in tea, so that's kind of my justification for it.
You're there, Steve. You're on the right track. That's
let's not talk about me. Let's talk about you. I want to know about when you actually picked up an instrument, because I know that you play guitar, but you also play saxophone, right?
I do. I played saxophone in my high school band. So when I was in grade 7, so I guess I started when I was 12, 13. And I'd say I'm most proficient playing alto saxophone. I also play some guitar and a little bit of keyboard, and even less so drums. But I try and like fake it till I make it. If you could just sort of get a beat down and make it sound decent, but I'm definitely not a drummer or a percussionist in any way, shape, or form. But
Well,
I'd say
there's plenty of people that have made careers out of faking it until they make it. I'm not sure they ever actually made it, but they kind of got away with it. As long as your heart's in it and you play with some passion, I think there's a lot to say for that.
That's my thinking. But you know what? Ever since now, I just feel so guilty even when I say I play the drums, because for, loose ends and music beyond that, I've been working with Dominique Messier here in Montreal, and he's my producer, but he's also Celine Dion's drummer.
Yeah.
And so when I say I'm a drummer, it's just it's not even right to qualify myself of that in any way, shape, or form, because when you hear him play, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like unearthly. It's incredible. And you realize just how much of a craft and an art percussion and the drums really are.
Yeah, for sure. So working with somebody like that, I was going to ask you about him anyway. He's got this history, and he's obviously worked with Montreal royalty and Celine Dion.
Yes.
Like, do you not spend half the time in the studio just asking him questions about Celine and his history and music?
He is just such a wealth of knowledge, and he's always imparting his wisdom with me. I would say probably 3/4 of the time we're in the studio, we're just chatting. And I'm just trying to soak up all of his knowledge and his wisdom like a sponge. And he's also just an incredibly hilarious individual, beyond being so super talented and brilliant. I really consider him to be like a genius. He's also just so much fun to work with. So 3/4 of the time we're just talking and we're just having a blast. And then 1/4 of the time we're working.
So who played the instruments? Did he add instruments to the music?
Absolutely, especially for loose ends. I would say I wasn't even that proficient at the beginning with working in, a DAW or working in Logic. And so I would just send him a really rough demo, and he just flushed out the arrangement and the production aspect of it. And on the actual record, he plays bass and drums and usually programmed instruments. I'm typically the vocalist. Actually, I guess I am the vocalist.
Come on, you can own it now.
And for guitar, I also got to use, I got to borrow Kevin Girouard, who's also Celine Dion's guitarist. And he also is they're both awe-inspiring. And I just feel so endlessly blessed and grateful to have them share their talents with me, because they're unparalleled. Honestly, in my opinion, I've never heard anyone play quite like them, and it's such a gift.
Yeah, I mean, especially this early in your career, to be working with people like that.
Exactly. I have such a ways to go and so much to learn, and they're superlative. They're masters of their crafts. So it's unbelievable.
I'm putting it out into the universe for album 2 featuring Celine Dion.
You know what? We're manifesting it right now. Done. It's gonna happen.
And do you have plans to actually get out and play live in front of a crowd at any point?
Oh my goodness. I would so love to. Right now, I think our plans are a little up in the air just because of COVID, and we're not sure with the variants. We're very COVID cautious, but if we are given the green light, that is definitely something that's on the horizon.
Are you somebody that went to a lot of shows when in normal times before the pandemic?
You know what? I definitely went to live shows, but I was very selective with my live shows. Like I've probably seen Bruno Mars in concert like 3-4 times. I've seen Taylor Swift, I guess like bigger acts at the Bell Center, but definitely I love going to live shows. Although I've never been a huge fan of crowds. So I've never been like a big festival gal. So I guess, and now I feel like even more so, I feel like crowds, I'm always going to be like extra super aware and cognizant of what's going on around me.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of these big names. If you could go on your dream tour opening for an act, who would you pick?
And I could only pick one?
Yeah.
Oh, Steve. That's challenging.
Who do you think you would have the most fun on tour with, but also their audience would appreciate what you do?
You know what? That's a great question. Okay. I feel like at this point, and there's so many artists that immediately sprung to mind, for me, it would be between Stevie Nicks and Harry Styles. Those would be, I think, my top two.
Okay, well, those two are friends, so you know,
you know
that's
what?
a good connection to have.
If they ever do like a joint tour, I'm happy to open. I'm happy to be a spectator, an audience member. I'm happy to be just anywhere part of that vicinity. Sign me up.
Because I know when Harry Styles played a club show in LA, Stevie Nicks came on, and I think they did Landslide together. So you would have been in heaven. You could have got up and done
I feel like I would have evaporated. Just poof. Like where'd she go? I think that's what would have happened. Wow, what that's remarkable.
So if Stevie Nicks fans or Harry Styles fans came across your name and you wanted them to listen to one song first, which one would you pick?
One song off of Loose Ends I think I would pick would be Skylark, which is my personal favorite. I hate saying that because like as a song mom, I should be impartial to all my songs, but I think Skylark just has a bit of an edge, and I feel like it has an acoustical essence and sonic palette, and I feel like it would be cohesive with Harry Styles' music and Stevie Nicks'. So I think that would be my selection for them, my choice.
Okay, that's a good answer.
That was a good question.
Now, obviously, you're putting music out into the world, but I know you've also been putting children's stories out into the world, which is that's a pretty cool thing to do. So you're obviously a creative person. Tell me about these books.
Yeah, so I basically, I guess a few years ago, conceptualized this social enterprise, which is now called Annie's Pajammies. I was just sort of thinking at the time, I wanted a way to make a tangible and measurable difference in the world in a manner that was fun for me and sustainable. And so I just started to brainstorm a lot of things that brought me joy. And that was, I love pajamas, and I love traveling, and I love learning about new cultures and histories different from my own. And culminating all of those ideas and putting them all together, I just sort of came up with Annie's Pajammies, which is a children's picture book series, which follows young protagonist Annie as she travels across the world in her magical pajamas and learns about new places. And those books are sold in conjunction with a corresponding line of pajamas. So kids can wear the pajamas that Annie's wearing in the stories, and a portion of the proceeds from every unit sold goes towards helping to facilitate access to education in the location that Annie travels to. So I absolutely love it. I think hopefully it could be used as an educational tool. That's sort of my goal in schools, because I think it's great to build intercultural competence, especially at a young age. Yeah. And that's another project that I'm just super, super excited about, and just grateful to have the opportunity to really pursue and bring to fruition.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. Like at the end of people's lives, I think when they look back on their lives, the one thing they want to feel like they did is just to make a difference and make the world a better place. And for you, at such a young age, you already started doing that. So like more power to you, I say.
Thank you, Steve. You are too kind. Thank you so much. That means the world to me.
But congratulations on getting this album out. Like, I'm excited for the rest of the week for you. It sounds like it's going to be a pretty memorable week. But thank you very much for spending some time talking with me. I've enjoyed this conversation.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me, Steve. It's been such a pleasure and an honor. You're amazing.
Thank you. So are you. And I wish you all the best. And I hope to see you up on stage with Harry and Stevie soon.
That definitely makes the two of us. Thank you so much, Steve.
Never say never. All right.
We're manifesting.
There you go. Let's keep manifesting. All right. You take care. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.